Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Snowpocalypse version of
Yay!
Our Favorite.
Everyone do the hand thing.
Yay!
Yeah, Jake.
Yay!
Yeah, there we go.
I just did. I'm crippled, remember? I don't have use of my hands.
It's a special meeting since we could not meet in person because we got about 14 inches of snow dropped on us. But today we're watching one of Jared's favorite movies of all time. And we also, if you couldn't tell, we have a special guest.
Hi!
Jared, why don't you introduce your special guest and your favorite movie of all time?
Alrighty, today we're joined by a very good friend of mine. This is Maggie, old college buddy. Known each other almost a decade. This year is a decade.
This year is, in fact, a decade.
Yeah, we met each other in the fall semester 2014. In your freshman year, my sophomore year of college.
I was a wee babe of 18.
That's right.
I saw this a towering human that and clearly more mass means more movie knowledge. So I figured I would assemble myself next to this pillar.
That wasn't it. There's more to the
pillar
story.
Of thought.
Should we tell the story after we introduce the movie?
I'm trying to think of which part of the story.
Oh, I remember the story. Should we introduce the movie and jump back? Just real quick, because we'll just get going.
Go for it.
So for my eighth pick, I have chosen the 1984 Wim Wenders masterpiece, Paris, Texas. Let's see, no glare.
Well done.
I also own it. Thanks, Jared.
Do we all own it on Criterion? There he scurries away.
I'm not gonna.
I was gonna say you don't have to go.
Crippled.
Is it on your? It's on your shelf though right now, right? Or did you watch?
Yeah, it's on my. It's. No, I actually watched it on HBO Max.
Okay, well you get a pass
because it's on my shelf, but it's not.
I found it.
After we organized the.
Yeah.
Wait for him to put the headphones back
on. As I smack my mic as hard as I humanly can.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jake.
I watched it on HBO Max because host us going through all my movies and organizing them, and so now there's just there's the vertical rows, and then there's my keeps growing blog of I need to sort these. Couldn't be bothered to go get it.
Understandable. But that's funny that we all have it on Criterion. I mean, that's the best way to get it.
Every one of us.
It's so cool. I didn't realize watching it. There's a timeline section and you can drop a bookmark so you can go right back and pick it. That's such a cool way.
Yeah, if it makes you feel better.
Is that
this release was
that just on that one, or
9? So that's been a feature for 14 years.
I think you can do that with most of the Criterions where they have the bookmarking.
Again, this is 2009.
I didn't know you could do that either. But I don't often movies to the point where I would need to bookmark it like that.
Oh, I never bookmark them. But it is a cool feature.
It's like a function that it's cool that it's there, but you rarely touch it.
It's like the Timon and Pumbaa Safari thing that we were talking about?
No, it's the Timon and Pumbaa Virtual Safari. There you go. Which, in the middle of an episode,
piece of media.
In the middle of an episode, one of us here started watching it while we're trying to talk about a movie. He's just on his computer going, "Hey, the whole thing is uploaded. Apparently, there are X amount of ways to go." And I'm hearing it, I'm like, "Jake, we're supposed to be talking about your movie, not you sitting there playing your little game."
I have to find something to do to entertain myself when you talk.
Anyway.
Your talk game.
Yeah, but before we get into the movie, we should context back to me and Maggie's friendship.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember we were in the same film communication class, and it's got to be the first week. You're talking a lot. Not annoying, just you're raising your hand because no one else is talking. and you're sitting on the other side of the room, and I remember thinking like, oh, this guy sounds great. He's answering everything. He's actually excited to be here. So, and I stepped out of my comfort zone at the end of class to walk over and introduce myself. I said, "Hey, you know your stuff." That's the first thing I ever said to him.
That is the line.
So in all the friendships over the millennia that people have had, my first line was, you sure know your stuff, bud, or something like that. And he's like, yeah. Or, yeah, I can't do your sultry sounding voice. Introduce myself.
Say, yeah?
Yeah, it was. Or you probably said more, in that like happy tone you have. And I was like, okay, all right, making friends.
Woo! Well done.
That's the most Jared sounding story I think I've ever.
I was gonna say
It's pretty true.
Yeah, I was about 19. No, I was 20.
That class was semi-remarkable though, because it was like watching a class. It was like watching movies with a class of people that had not watched any movies. Like,
because anyone
could
could take it.
It was bizarre.
There were no prerequisites.
I mean, I guess that's the point. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was like, you really want to use this opportunity to watch Transformers 4? Like,
we didn't watch Transformers 4.
Transformers 4 in a film class?
That was a legitimate debate and
up.
discussion that we had.
Hold up. When you guys were in college,
yes,
Transformers 4 was current.
Yes, it was. It had
was
just
out
come
of
out that summer, I believe.
It was out of theaters. It was available physically, but yes,
it's very rough.
When did that come out? 2013?
13 or 14.
What are you talking about? It was last year.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, that movie's almost 10 years old. But he's an inventor. It'd be very big for him.
Yeah, we got into, because I think we had to do some sort of debate on like what movie we wanted to watch for like the final movie of the class, and it was between that one and There Will Be Blood, and there was like considerable pushback for There Will Be Blood.
It was supposed to be 5 minutes. It was supposed to be a 5-minute vote, and it turned into an entire class of like shaving down movies to get to those two, and all us, pretentious film bros like linked arms for the first time, and actually like touched another human and like banded together and won out the vote, and a lot of cheering from that end of the room, a lot of looks from the other side of the room. But hey, that other side of the room are all plebeians, so
yeah, and they got to watch a good movie, so good for them.
We did. Yeah, that was such a fun day of class. Go ahead.
I can't imagine watching There Will Be Blood in a desk chair.
No,
it's such a long movie for that.
No, we went to there's like an
school
auditorium that we went to go watch them at. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is better, but it's not going to be the best quality because it's just projecting off like a Blu-ray player, like like a classroom projector.
It's still better than them plastic chairs.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how it all started, and here we are, almost 10 years later, still buddy. So.
And I basically don't do film stuff except for the stuff I enjoy, like Paris, Texas.
Paris, a good.
Oh yeah, we're talking about that.
It's true.
So this is one that, I heard about a lot, and it's a pretty popular Criterion buy for people, and I remember I bought it without having seen any Avengers movies or even knowing who it is. Just the only way I knew him was he had directed a couple YouTube music videos. That's the only time I ever saw the name was, okay, I've never heard of this guy.
I didn't know he started off like that. That's cool.
He didn't start off like that.
That feels right.
Yeah, but it's like I'd see his name, and then when I saw it again, I go, oh, that's the guy that did this video. Okay. And, it's one of those highly acclaimed ones. And it's one of my first Criterions. I should have looked before we started where it is, but it's like the first couple years I started collecting. So it's one of the oldest ones I have. And I remember sitting down the first time to watch it. I really liked it, but didn't react emotionally to it. But I was like, wow, this is so good. And then I decided to show Maggie here when he was over at my house one night, because that was the first time you'd seen it, right?
Yeah, I knew about some of like the pretty integral scenes just because they get shared online, but I had no knowledge of like what they meant or anything. So yeah, that was like my first time watching it.
And I remember I'm waiting for the big monologue scene. You know, I knew these people is what people call the scene.
Yeah.
And I remember getting to that, and tears rolling down my cheeks. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is hitting way harder the second time. I'm like, oh no, I think I'm crying. And I'm like, I wonder if he's like it. I look over, and there you are with tears rolling down your face, going like this. And it was like this shared moment of, here we are just sitting here crying over this wonderful, wonderful movie.
How could you not? It's a tragedy.
Wow. You cried, Jared. That's amazing.
One of the 14 ever to make me cry.
I like how I think when I met you, it was like at 9, and now it's bumped up to 14.
Well, that's another story.
You've had a count of it for that long?
Yeah, I made a YouTube
He's
video.
had a count of it since he was born.
Well, yeah, because I think the first time I ever cried at a movie, I was like 10, and it was like I watched Fox and the Hound at home by myself. I just popped in the VHS, you know, the clam case. Do I have it over there?
Yeah.
I do.
You would have it.
Yeah,
Of course, yeah, of course, yeah.
And I popped it in because I felt like watching it, and I knew it was sad. And then I just remember sitting there. I think the only player was in my parents' room, so I watched it in my parents' room, like sitting on their bed, just by myself. And I remember just blubbering, just tears rolling, just because it's so sad. And then that's like my first memory of like actually crying watching a movie, because there aren't many of them, as I just said, but that's like the first one I remember. And it's still, that part still gets to me.
And much like the Hound, they eventually go on to work at a peep show to fund their children.
Yep, that's... Yep, Todd sits down and says, Vixie, I knew these people. They were friends with a hound dog. I remembered her name.
I knew this dachshund. I knew this dachshund well.
That's not a dachshund. Isn't he a bloodhound? It's the fox and the hound, not the fox and the wiener dog.
It could be the dachshund and the wiener hound. That's the hidden sequel here.
I mean, there is a sequel. That's the third one then.
Yeah, that's the hidden money here. I should be Bob Iger, obviously.
Well, the rest of the story was well. I did all that work on that video on movies that made me cry, and I uploaded it. And,
yes.
You know, and I remember you sent me a message like, "Hey man, great video. You forgot one." I go, "What? I do all this work and I forgot one," and it was because Kid with a Bike.
Yes.
I'd completely forgotten you. It might have been around the same time as this. You brought Kid with a Bike over, and by the end, we're both sitting there crying again. You need to come back up so we can cry at something else. It's been a while.
Yeah, I know.
I think
it's those dang Western Europeans, man. They like to drag the emotions out, kicking and screaming.
Yeah, just that's so. This is one of those emotional movies for many people. I just think for me specifically, just every time I watch it, you just get sucked into that scene because that is the scene of the movie.
It is really
incredible scene.
It does feel like the whole movie, like I've heard people say that like they kind of almost don't like the rest of the movie because it's build up for that scene, but it's like,
but you need
is that not just the point of the movie? Yeah.
That's what drives me nuts. It's like, but you need it. If you skip it, it's not the same, and you shouldn't skip it. But it's also like you watch the scene on YouTube, it doesn't hit the same. You're not, you're not 2 hours into this mood.
I think that's around the point because that whole scene got like posted to like YouTube or Twitter or something, and people were like, "This is amazing," but they were like, "Why is there 2 hours before this? This is all you needed." And it's like, but I want all that other stuff. I want him being like a kind of gormless idiot for like 80% of the movie. So, you know.
And he's so
makes
good.
it almost like way more pathetic in a way, and not pathetic in a mean way, but like pathetic in a like
human way.
Wow, that's truly awful, and I'm sorry that you're all this way kind of way, you know.
Oh,
But
he's so good in it too. Like everyone always says career performance, and yeah, I mean when most of your career is like character actor supporting
bit
parts.
roles, yeah.
Like, I mean, what's a better example than like he's in the first Avengers movie for one scene where he finds Bruce out of Hulk form in that pile of rubble.
Yeah, he's a janitor.
Yep.
I forgot about that.
Yep, he gives him this like little pep
talk.
Yep. He gives him that little pep talk.
That's right.
And that's like, it's like, or like in the Twin Peaks universe, he's the trailer park owner, which he has much more screen time and purpose there. But like, or like in the first Alien, he's the guy with the baseball cap that, you know, when they're looking for the cat.
That's got to get eaten so you know that the alien's bad.
Yeah, or Last Temptation of Christ, he's the one guy at the end that he has one scene and he's given the big long speech, and it's like if Bowie didn't kill it as pilot in that one scene before, like Harry Dean Stanton would have stolen the movie then from everyone else.
Yeah.
Like just that he shows up for one thing and just is so good. And it's so sad that he's gone. I mean, he was old. He was like 90, wasn't he?
I think he was a little bit past that even.
Yeah, because he died not long after filming his stuff for Twin Peaks: The Return. Like within like a year or something. I think he was like 93.
Yeah, I remember seeing news of his passing. I was like, not surprised, but I think I was surprised once I seen the actual age. I was like, how old was he when he was doing these movies? Because like that means he had to be at least like late 50s, 60s for Paris, Texas. You know? He didn't have like any big starring roles until he was that old, which is crazy.
Yeah, and so he's passed on. Then his brother in the movie, Dean Stockwell, has also died. He died 2 years ago.
That's right.
And the oddest thing is, good old friend of the podcast, Hammy, and I watched Blue Velvet the night before.
You've mentioned this to me, yeah.
Like we watched it, and then when I woke up the next morning, Dean Stockwell had died. It's like, that's just that timing. So it's like, okay, what movie can I watch of someone I don't like and see what happens? As horrible as that sounds.
Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah, at least I didn't. No, that's mean. It's a good movie. I'm not gonna be mean to Jake because it is a good movie.
Okay, then watch Don't Look Up.
No, I'm not that desperate.
No. I still have not seen that, but
don't.
It's a movie.
Yeah, I've heard tales and reports that it is it's a movie.
Yep.
Okay.
Without going into it, the best way to describe what's wrong with it is, who was it? It might have been one of the Daniels on Twitter around when it came out, like had this thread of like everything where he talks. I can't remember which one, if it was Scheinert or Kwan, but one of them like spells out his thoughts on it. I go, yeah, that's much better than anything I'm going to come up with. That's perfect. So I'd have to dig to find it, but that'd be, and it's longish. It's a couple different tweets all strung together, but we don't need to talk about that movie here. We're talking about a good movie, a great
Let's talk about a good movie.
Yeah. It's weird how it's 2.5 hours, and it does and doesn't feel like it. Like it feels like a lot.
It definitely does.
A lot of time passed, but then it also doesn't feel like it's super, super slow, at least to me, because it's just so engaging. And
I will say I definitely felt the pacing, like, and I also noticed this with another Wim Wenders movie that I just watched, but that's later on. He likes to float. Like I feel like casually floating through the story is like the best way to describe his directing style. It's like, okay, this is it. I'm enjoying the visuals. I'm enjoying it. Looked beautiful, but just like all right, we get it. It's taking its time. It was a little slow in the beginning, but it was still a well-made movie. Let's just say the pacing could have maybe, but then it was deliberate. Like you said, it was deliberate. You can tell it was paced that way on purpose.
So I've seen like 10 or 12 of his movies, and if you don't count the documentaries, it'd be less because I've seen like 3 or 4 of them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how his pacing always works, and he's one of the best directors when it comes to creating atmosphere. Like, there's just something engaging about the movies he makes, and I don't know how else to say it other than just being the simplistic. It's shot well, it's put together well, it just takes its time, and it's like when you go into one of his movies and you know it's going to be slower paced no matter the running time. Yeah, I don't think it bugs me at all. Other things bug me in other movies of his because I've seen a movie of his that's not good, and Submergence. And it's
I was about to say, is it the James Franco one?
James McAvoy.
Oh, it's James McAvoy. For whatever reason,
James Franco's in one called
James
Everything Will Be Fine. I think that's the title.
That's it.
And it's from like 2015, and I hear it's really bad. He's had a string of not great narrative movies from what I've heard, and then of course the one I've seen. But this past year at Cannes, Perfect Days got a ton of praise, and everyone is loving it. And I am so excited to see it. It just hasn't come out wide, at least around here. Have you heard anything about Perfect Days, anyone?
Not even.
Yeah, I've seen a trailer for it, I believe, and I'm like, ooh, that looks really interesting. It's definitely got me invested, and especially after seeing this movie and
the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
it's
about a Japanese man in Tokyo that cleans toilets. That's like that's the premise, but other stuff will happen, but I didn't read too much into it because I want to go into it with just that simple knowledge. I know I can't remember his name, won Best Actor at Cannes for it because it was up for the Palme d'Or as well. So it's like it's a nice return to form.
Oh.
So I'm excited. I love when directors who already have a big filmography and have made some of the best movies of all time have like a late career. It doesn't even have to be a resurgence, just one movie where it's like, oh, they still got it. They still are able to make something that's great. And this is a much more negative figure, but it's like when Woody Allen made Midnight in Paris. He had a decade of not like bad, just not great, but then Midnight in Paris is kind of like this exception, and Blue Jasmine's also good, but it's like outside of those two, his last 20 years have not been great. But there's also a lot of other reasons to not like him that we don't need to go into.
Yeah.
So that's a whole can of worms there.
I feel like we get back to him several points in this podcast.
I mean, he's one of the most central figures.
And you always say we don't need to talk about that.
Because we don't have the know-how. We're not experts in this. We don't know all the information. We don't want to say anything stupid. It's just so I want to say I'm mentioning him because it's a good example for this, but we don't need to go into all the other stuff. So I know we say it because it was our first episode of the podcast ever. He was the main character of that movie. That's why. So that's why. But it's kind of like that, where you have that one movie later in your career after a while of not having much, and then all of a sudden it's like you hit it again, and people are reminded of why you are a master of your craft. And he's also made great documentaries. His documentaries are really good.
The only one I've seen any bit of is the Buena Vista Social Club,
which is great. And then
and that's a lie. I've
seen
seen the
right?
dancing one. Yeah, that's a really, really good one. Yeah.
For Jake and Dickey, Pina, he was going to make a 3D documentary with, I can't remember her full name, but Pina, who was a ballerina and choreographer, and she ended up dying before they ever got started. So he and her collaborators created a 3D documentary that uses dance and voiceover to kind of pay tribute to her. They go to different locations and they do kind of these surreal stage performances of some of her most famous dances, and like I think all the talking heads, they don't talk to you, they just look at you, and there's the voiceover, and then it cuts to them dancing. So it's kind of like expression for more than just talking, and it's really good. I really wish I could have seen it, you know, in a theater in 3D like it's supposed to be, but it came out in like 2008 or 9, so I was like 15 and didn't know who he was. Like,
you don't know who Wim Wenders is, you middle school student?
Then again, it would have been around that time that I first saw his name. I wouldn't have known who he was, but that's about the time when I saw a music video he did for U2. I was like, okay. Which, the music video was for the song Far Away So Close, which is the title of one of his movies, which is a sequel to another movie. So, like, that's the first time I ever saw his name. But Paris, Texas.
I also, for the longest time, thought his name was pronounced Wim Wenders.
Yep.
I realized it.
I think
definitely not.
I think some people might say that. From what I have heard other people say, it's Wim Wenders, because, you know, German, the W's are set as V's.
Yep.
Yep. I have the opposite thing where I've always heard it said, so now when I go to spell it, initially I spell it with the V's.
Wim Wenders.
Yeah, and
Yep.
and what I think the day I realized how to pronounce his name was because he a friend and contemporary of his, part of the New German Cinema, is Werner Herzog. Because they're about in the same age.
Yeah.
Same time and everything. And when I realized, wait, Werner, it's Wim Wenders, isn't it? Okay, that makes sense. And then their other contemporary was, I think it's pronounced Fassbinder. I thought it was Fassbinder. I think it's Fassbinder.
Yeah.
What's his full name again? I'm forgetting it in the moment. It's
same
Michael
here.
Fassbender?
No. German Fassbinder.
I have
What is
no
his
clue
name?
what you're...
Fassbinder, isn't it?
I thought it was Binder. I thought I heard someone in an interview say it was Binder.
You're right. Yeah.
What is his full name?
Binder.
Everyone, it's Werner
Look up,
again, isn't it?
sexy
Rainer
movies
Werner.
from the 70s.
There we go.
There we go.
Rainer Werner Fassbinder. I don't know. But he died in like
German name. Oh my god.
He died in like the
Rainer
80s, didn't he?
I believe, like late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, he died in his 30s and had directed like 70 movies and also a couple TV shows and written like 20 plays. Like, the man worked nonstop.
Yeah.
He put out and
kept doing stuff.
Similar to like Bergman or Kurosawa, it's like everything he pumps out is people just love. I've only seen 2 things from him. I've seen I watched with you
World on a Wire.
World on a Wire. I almost said World of Tomorrow. That's not right. World on a Wire, which I have your old copy on the shelf back there that you let me have. The same copy where we're like, let's watch both, 3-hour episodes in one sitting. Yeah, bad idea.
That would be fun.
I also had bronchitis without knowing it, so I was coughing for all 6 hours. So, you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
It was terrible.
Yeah, I do.
And then I think like the next day we went to the med center, like, oh yeah, bronchitis. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, and then the other thing I've seen, I believe he did The Merchant of Four Seasons, which I saw last year, which I liked. I don't know from those two. I don't know if I'm a big fan of his work, but that I'm open to watching more at some point. Just I enjoyed the movies of Wenders and Herzog much better. Which Herzog I finally watched Aguirre. How do you say Aguirre, Wrath of God?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that last year. And then also had seen Fitzcarraldo the year before.
Fitzcarraldo's a really good one.
I still can't believe they pulled that boat over that mountain. I did see
I was
Bird
about
of Dreams.
to say, the documentary.
Yep.
Yeah, is insane.
It's like, I don't know how I feel about Werner. Kind of, it's kind of muddy on if he was abusing people's services for getting that boat over that mountain, like kind of exploiting his workforce. But I don't know how to comment on that. The boat got over the mountain. We'll just say that
the boat got over the mountain, and the world's angriest German was allowed to rampage through the jungle. Whose
daughter is in Paris, Texas.
It's
Natasha
true.
Kinski is his daughter. Why am I forgetting her name in the movie all of a sudden? It's Jane, right?
Yes.
Yep. So Herzog's best friend is and lead actor is Klaus Kinski, and his daughter Natasha is in Paris, Texas, as the wife who's on the other side of the glass at the peep show. So it all comes back to Paris, Texas.
It's true.
There you
It's
go.
the movie. There's only one.
Yep. It won him the Palme d'Or. And yet, it didn't get much. I think it got like a Globe nomination for foreign film out of all things, but then just got no awards love in the U.S. at all. Other than that, like, I don't know why. Because then now it's like always on those like best of lists, like greatest movie. Like it's on a lot of those lists, and it's like it's got to be it was praised then, but because America's stupid, takes them 30 years to pull their head out of their butt. Which is funny.
I feel like that's a lot of movies nowadays, though. It's hard to tell what's gonna be the greatest of all time when it first comes out. Like, you gotta first think about it.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't have been. It would have been just the recognition of how good it is, because I feel, and the other thing is accessibility. Just.
I mean, yeah, it was made in Germany or somewhere over there.
Yep.
I don't know where this was made.
Yep. It's through Germany. I think it's a co-production between Germany and the U.S. But also, like, it's a German director and crew. So, mostly. So, that I'm glad it has the recognition now, and a lot of people have seen it now. So it's one of those, would have liked it to kind of always been that way, but I mean, he won the Palme d'Or. It's not like it was ignored. That's probably the most prestigious award in the world for film. The Oscars are up there, but I think most people outside of the U.S. winning the Palme d'Or is like the goal. Especially for how hard it is to win it, because I think only a handful of people have won multiple. So that's the other thing. It's like, it's hard to win, because there's also like 20, 30 films up for it or something like that. I don't know as much about Cannes as other people do, but it's something like, it's just, the whole thing is just outside of my base knowledge. So
you have to can it.
Yeah. So I've seen this multiple times. Maggie, you've seen this multiple times. Dickey, had you ever seen this?
Nope, this is the first time I watched it since buying it.
In like 2017 or something. Were you with me when you bought it?
2017.
Rough. It's
And then
like 7 years.
and then Jake, this is your first watch, and you've also owned it for a while.
When did we reorganize my movies? A year or two ago? Actually, we were talking to Maggie when we were doing that.
That's right.
Yeah, you called. That's right. I think it was 2022, and Maggie, you called, and I pull up my phone, and Jake's like, "Who is it?" I'm like, "It's Maggie." Why is he calling? Is someone dead? So I answer. I'm like, "What? Are you okay?" And he's like, "Well, yeah. What? Why wouldn't I be okay?" And I go, "'Cause you never call me." And he's like, "Well, I felt like checking in." I'm like, "Well, I'm sitting here with Jake going through all his movies. You want to talk to Jake and me?" Sure. We talked for like an hour or two. And let me tell you, it made it go a lot faster, because before, me and Jake had to like talk to each other.
Yeah,
you don't like that much.
Rough.
Oh, I like it. But I see you all the time.
Fair.
And I love you, Jake, but a man needs his space once in a while. But don't worry, if you were to fall out of that chair, I'd get someone to drive over right now and help you up.
You just call my wife.
I could call your wife to come get me, to bring me to your house to
that would
help
actually
you get
be
up.
less steps.
How about that?
Actually, if I fell out of this chair, she would hear it.
Could you fall quietly?
She would probably come help.
I would assume so. I don't
Look at me. Do I
Be
let
kinda
you person
rude.
that can fall quietly?
Don't answer that. No one answer that. Don't play his game.
Don't play his game.
So, Jake, Dickey, whoever wants to start, first watch. What are some of your thoughts? Dickey, go first.
Yes.
think
Or Jake, go first. Jake started. No one said anything.
Jake, go first. I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay. I liked it a lot. I was pretty locked in with it. Like you've told me before, them is very, very adept at creating the mood, and for me, that kind of keeps me locked into a film. And so, yeah.
All right.
I will say,
Um,
speaking of tones and moods, the other director that I feel like does a good job, like Vim does. I don't know if are you guys gonna agree with me or not? Jordan Peele. It feels like it's very similar. Like it takes his time building the atmosphere and giving you the aura of like what the movie's gonna be like. And I feel like it's shot very differently. Like Vim, I just watched Jared's other favorite movie that we're going to get to later in the series. But based off of both of those movies, he feels like a director that really he composes his shots very well. He likes his what are the drone like kind of shots? Like he likes his floating around. He didn't use it quite as much in here, but he used a little bit of it. And I feel like that just it's a good way of giving that like ethereal aura. Like it's like very, like it takes itself seriously, but it's like that's
Hold on.
a strange way to put it, but like very atmospherical.
He's very surrealist.
Are you talking about like
that's a good way
drones
to-
in this, or Jordan Peele using drones?
No, I was talking about more Vin Vendors because I feel like Jordan Peele doesn't use that many.
Okay.
But so far from the movies, just the sense of understanding what the tone of the atmosphere should be. I think they both do a really good job. That's the first person I wanted to bring up.
They both have a lot of those like floaty camera movements.
Yes.
Yeah. And his
Drones is going to be the subject of Jordan Peele's next movie.
It is?
Is it really?
No, not at all.
See, you could have just kept going for a while. And
I could have
then
just
just
kept
pulled the
going.
rug out. Yeah. I was
Sounds
going.
like something you'd be like, yeah. My stories.
I will
about
say
drones and their
that
negative impact on society.
No, they're maybe.
Are you the only? You're probably the only one here that
I
owns a
see.
drone, Jake, right?
Yeah.
Because I know I don't.
I did for a little while.
Oh.
I'd like to. Those are expensive.
They are expensive. That's the tough.
They are worth it though. I have made my money back on that little drone. Sorry, I haven't made my money back. I am a recreational pilot.
I was gonna say you haven't made anything at all off that. Nothing.
I've made
Nothing. I
nothing.
have not. No, I would never.
And not multiple times either. No.
No.
Because you're fully
But
licensed.
it's made back in here, you know.
Yeah, it's made back in my heart. I've gotten my money's worth out of it.
That's good. That's a good
Anyways,
review.
I was going to say that the one thing I wanted to say, well, several things I wanted to say about Paris, Texas, was the scene that I appreciated the most, apart from the obvious scene that everybody talked about, is the one where Hunter and I don't remember his name, going to be honest,
Travis.
are walking on opposite sides of the street. That was
I
that was
love
beautiful.
that scene.
Dude, it was so heartwarming. I'm just like, oh, that is how you connect with a child. That it made my heart so happy.
I do like how they show that. Like it really does feel like a guy that's like bitter and remorseful about basically like, letting his family disintegrate. It's like how you kind of probably would act around that if you were genuinely remorseful.
I like how, well, you have the normal thing of Hunter's not going to accept him right away because he doesn't know him as well, and what gets him to at least make that step to be closer to him is when they watch the family
Movies,
videos.
yeah, right.
When they're watching that.
Speaking of that, when we watched that scene, did you know Paris, Texas is apparently a Christmas movie?
Stop.
Wow.
No, it is not.
A reference to Christmas. That's good.
I was saying,
May
though,
as well be up there with Die Hard.
I was saying that I like how he's kind of cold to him because he doesn't know him, and of course they're like, we're gonna watch those movies. He's like, oh, I've seen those a million times. But then as he's watching and like he's seeing the reaction on Travis's face and like putting like things together, that's when he kind of makes that step towards being open to Travis. Because I can't remember, is it after that he tries to pick him up from school and he says, I don't know who that is, and then the second time he picks him up is when they're the walking. So it's a gradual thing, and it makes sense because how many like American movies would have like one scene and then the next scene they're buddy like nothing's happened. Whereas it does take its time to develop that because children are more complicated than that. And
it makes I'm glad you said that because I feel like a lot of other like basic pop culture movies will treat children like it's just like not as complex as this did. Well, this one really, like, he was a full character. He did such a great job in the movie, and I love actually the respect of treating him as an actual character.
So that was one of the things that kind of, how do I say it, kept me perplexed throughout and like kind of nervous throughout the movie because I had never seen it and I didn't really understand the character at certain points in the movie. And I didn't know where it was going to go or how, like, dark it was going to get. There were certain moments, like, when, like, this day, no person is going to go stand on the corner next to an elementary school and just, like, be able to stand there and watch kids or, like, walk across the street from a kid like that. Like, and then, like, I'm like, He's kidnapping this kid, and we're just not even gonna mention it.
'80s.
It was a different time. Yep. Yeah.
They didn't even know what the color amber was.
But then, like, again, because I didn't know the movie or what direction it was gonna go, I got kind of nervous when, like, I don't remember her name. You said. Not Anne, the other one, the other blonde one.
Oh, Jane?
His wife?
Jane. When
Travis's wife.
when she goes into the hotel where the kid is, because it's like, what is she gonna do? She already left this kid. I don't know what's gonna happen. And I got I think it's just that whenever kids are involved, it heightens the emotions.
Oh, just that thing where she says, like, I missed him so much. It hurt so much to miss him that I just, tried to not think about him anymore.
Yeah.
That's why she was calling about him every once in a while and then just gradually stopped. But was still depositing the money, but just couldn't bear it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh man, that whole, everything from the monologue, like, to her reuniting, to then that, I know everyone talks about it. I'm like, that shot of him on that parking garage is just so good.
Yeah.
Oh. Like, the colors they used in this is beautiful. It's beautifully shot, and
it's one of the all-time great cinematographers, Robbie Mueller. Just he's worked with him before. I could pull up in a second other things he's done. He's also died. I think he died in 2019 or 20. But I remember the Oscars after he died, they showed that opening shot of Paris, Texas during the In Memoriam, the one that goes around the mountain to where he's walking.
Yeah.
And I flipped out. I was like, yeah! I was like, I'm sad, but also like seeing that get put in there. Because other ones don't have that, but they put that shot, and it's like, that shot for this movie is so important and so iconic now for film that it's just something they have in there. And I'm looking at other Robbie Mueller stuff. He's also done some Jim Jarmusch movies like Ghost Dog and Dead Man, and Mystery Train, Down by Law. Repo Man, which was the same year as Paris, Texas, also has Harry Dean Stanton.
Was 84 the year of Harry Dean?
Yeah, wasn't it like
apparently
one of the two? I thought you had told me this, Maggie, a while back. Like, Repo Man took a while to come out, and Robbie Mueller is the one who suggested Harry Dean Stanton to Wim Wenders. something like
it's
that.
one way or the other. Yeah, it's because he knew Robbie Mueller's how those two like got together, I think.
Yeah. Other ones, Dancer in the Dark, To Live and Die in L.A. Another one, Maggie, we watched together.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah, it's mostly vendors. I'm seeing it, vendors in Jarmusch. 2018 is when Robbie Mueller passed. So, yeah, well, I would say the best way to describe Robbie's style is just there's this rustic look and feel to it, even when there's vibrant colors. There's just something natural about it.
I'd be curious to know what film stock and like what he chooses to shoot on, because like it is, like you said, rustic is a really good look. Like it's very clear. Like it's very, as as high definition as you could get from back in the day.
But it
still has
too.
that warmth. Yeah.
For me, it kind of specifically the shots outdoors in the desert like reminded me of like the color palette of like the spaghetti westerns.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't
with the
with the exception of that those red and green lights that are everywhere.
Don't you dare say Christmas.
Do
not say Christmas.
I already
do not say Christmas again. Do not say Christmas.
It's not a Christmas movie.
Christmas. I was gonna ask though. Just talking about the colors again. That heavy green and red. Do either you, Jared, or you, Maggie, or even you, Dickey, know, like, were they supposed to correspond to something?
I think the green lights, I think that literally is just the like light style that they had in. Is that Houston? Is that where like the Peep Show?
Yeah.
Because I know that like they have a lot of green symbolism there. They've got that big bank. I'm forgetting what the name is, but it's it when you see it. It's got the green neon like arches going all the way through it. I think that was just kind of the style of that city, at least for the green lights.
That's kind of what I got too. The neon vibes are very big.
Yes,
and
very much.
Also, it just kind of. I can't explain, but it just fits the mood. It's definitely something they brought in when it came to just editing and production style as well. Just everything with the neon vibes, it just adds to the movie.
Yeah.
I was gonna say my favorite shot. Well, one of them that isn't as big of a shot. It's when he and his brother are driving, and it like was either just finished raining or was starting to rain, and they're in the desert, and they're pulling into that hotel right at dusk, and it's like in front of the car, and the car like does the swerve into the hotel, and they're talking. Like I don't know why I love that shot. There's just something. Mm-hmm. It's like because the term Americana gets thrown around with this movie,
and it's about to mention that.
And that's like the perfect shot because you got like the gas station and the restaurants like up the strip there with the sun going down, wide open space, pulling in. It's like. Yeah, that's America right there.
At America.
That's that good America feel. It does feel like just on the whole, like the story is some kind of like a wives' tale or something that you would hear like out in West Texas. Like we knew these people that loved each other so much that it fragmented them, destroyed them. And it's nothing crazy or violent, but it's like almost like gothic tragedy. It happens almost for no reason. It happens because they're together. That's
you
that's
say not violent. The house was on fire.
Well,
he was on fire.
Hey, listen.
I don't know if it's not violent.
Listen, Jared. I would consent if you strapped a chain to my ankle and put me to the bed or whatever.
We're not having this conversation again.
What do you mean?
We're not having this conversation again. we're not,
again?
Yes, again.
Listen, if I had any fugue state-driven chain talks with you, I'm trying to remember.
We'll just chalk it up to a rain check.
Yeah, just move on from that, yeah.
I saw that face, Dickey. I saw that like, okay. Just every time it starts to just sucks me right in. I know I mentioned that opening shot multiple times. Though, just right away I'm like, oh yeah, let's go.
Well, it does do a good job of getting your attention real fast.
I thought I timed it. I can't remember. I thought it was like 18 minutes before he speaks, something like that. Like, and he's
there's a long time.
And he's in most of those 18 minutes. Like, it's either him or it's his brother's Walt, right?
Yeah.
It's like Walt going to get him. So it's like about half or more of those 18 minutes he's on screen and he just does not say anything. And then he finally,
he has a very good
face
face for that.
Yeah,
he has a good face for just like, it's emotive, but he doesn't have to say anything. It's just, you know what he's thinking. He does a really good job with that.
It's almost like a jump scare when you hear him, too. Like, it doesn't like jump out at you jump scare, but it's like, did he just, like, you double take? Because it's always like, can we go to Paris?
It's
Something
like that moment in like, it's like that moment in movies where the dog starts talking and everyone's like, wait a minute, what?
So you're telling me the moment of Travis talking in Paris, Texas is akin to when Bruce Willis voiced Spike in Rugrats Go Wild. Can you give a dog a little warning?
Yeah. 1-to-1 the same thing.
Yeah.
I garner the same emotions.
Yeah. That's a double feature right there. Paris, Texas, and then Rugrats Go Wild.
Yeah. Because,
why wouldn't you watch Rugrats Go to Paris?
Yeah, Rugrats Go to Paris had the giant reptar.
That's right.
That had the giant reptar.
I think that's the one I skipped as a kid. I don't remember why. And then you
skipped that one?
I think I've seen it now, but I think like when it came out,
that's the one where Chucky's sister comes into the picture.
You didn't even get Kimmy's lore.
So watching an episode of Rugrats after the movie comes out, it's like, who's that girl? And then her mom comes in, and it's like, who's that? It's like, well, that's Chucky. And so I was like, that's Chucky's mom. I thought she was dead. Oh, I guess she's okay. And then when they tell you, oh, okay, that makes sense. I should have watched the movie.
I guess she's okay. Paris, Texas.
Yep, another thing. Sam Shepard.
Wow.
Sam Shepard, who also has died in the last couple of years. I believe wrote it with, was it L.M. Carson? I could look at it. Like,
L. Kit Carson.
L. Kit Carson. I thought it was L. L. Kit Carson, whose son plays Hunter in the movie. Which I think that might be his only acting role. Just very, very good child performance, too. It's like child performances have this thing of it has to be a good performance, but also has to feel like a kid because we're so used to the modern and post like golden age of sitcom like wacky sarcastic kids that are smarter than the adults, and it's like as fun as that is on a TV comedy, kids don't act like that.
No.
And the problem becomes if you don't do that, they're often loud and annoying. But here he's not loud or annoying at all. He feels like a kid. Just
yeah, that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, so had to give props to that performance.
Realistically, I could see him asking Travis why are strawberries red, and that seems right.
Yep. I love that scene.
I love how he went like the walkie-talkies.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, everything, them having the walkie-talkies and chatting in the car, like with light speed and everything. I'm just like, it's so natural.
Yeah.
Like it's
him
just
riding
some of the most
back.
random shit that comes to their head, and like it fits. It's so great.
And him riding in the bed of the truck is so 80s and 90s, well, before, but like it's so 80s, and that people did that when I was growing up still, but now no one does that because that's not safe. All it takes is you hit a big bump or something, they go flying. Like, but it goes.
Just hold on, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I was
gonna.
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, Jared. Being the one of the 5 or 4 of us that is kind of got some driving anxiety, at least that I'm aware of. did that first person shot of them just weaving and bobbing in and out of traffic and hearing the tires squealing give you any anxiety?
A little bit.
If it makes you feel better, it gave me the noise of the tire screeching is what gave me anxiety.
Well, as we talked about before, I think you've talked about there. You have a different reason for that. Me,
That's true,
I'm just a worrywart. So when I was a kid, I was the Chucky of the group, where I don't think we should be doing this. So when everyone's riding in the back of the truck, I'm like, I'm gonna go sit in there. They're like, no, you're not. Come on, it's fine. And then I'm riding in the truck, grabbing onto something, just shaking. That's me.
But
I always wanted to be in the back of my dad's truck.
Of course you did.
Whenever we were driving
You
up
are a
north or anywhere, I'm
dog.
like,
You're a little puppy. You're a little puppy boy. Just yipping away in the back, going, oh, it's so fun. I could die any minute.
Dickey, you do have very golden retriever energy.
It's very true.
I know.
What do you mean you don't? You do and you know it.
Well,
I know, absolutely.
Oh, I thought you said I don't.
which
I was
Rugrat?
No, I know, I do.
Which Rugrat was the one that was like, I wonder what firecrackers taste like? Because I strongly identify with that one.
I believe that was the twins.
Okay, good.
What are their names?
Phil and Lil.
I was quizzing
Phil
him.
and Lil.
Yeah, my credentials are in check. Thank you.
Just a quick, a friend of mine and I quoting one of the best lines of that show ever is when Betty and Howard and Stu are standing there, and Howard's like, Betty? A thief? That's an absurd proposition. You're an absurd proposition! Yes, I had to bring that up, because it always makes me laugh. Stu and Stu is the MVP.
Absolutely.
But
Texas.
Yeah, the scene of them eating lunch together under the overpass in the bed of the truck is always one of my favorites. It's such this sweet little scene, and they're sitting there, and I think they got McDonald's. I think he has like a fry thing, and then Hunter's telling him, because I think Travis asks like, "What is this?" And he's like, "It's whatever. It's it's a French thing that Anne makes for me for my lunch or something." And I was like, "It's just such." That's the scene where they decide to go look for her. I believe, and so I love just the feel that there's something also about driving like on freeways through cities in movies that is just so calming to me, because when it happens in real life, it's not calming at all. It's more
That's surprising that's calming for you. Yeah,
because someone else is driving, I'm not in the car, and I don't have to worry about dying. And it's gonna be okay.
Are you sure?
Usually. Yeah, I'm not in the car with
What
them.
if an errant car revs up its gas really hard and just like flies off the highway right over to your house?
That would be a really hard thing, because his house is quite a ways from the highway.
I know, but could happen. Could happen.
Well, in that case,
Did it sprout wings?
Yeah, the car might sprout wings.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
Just
then
come right through your basement window.
What are you eating?
Like napalm attaché.
What are you eating?
Chocolate.
What is that?
Chocolate.
It's a cookie.
I made sourdough cookies last night.
Oh, that rocks.
How does it taste?
Really good. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Are you going to make cookies for us next time we meet up?
I seen it, but I was like, I'm gonna let the man enjoy his cookie because that looks nice.
I can make these turned out really good, by the way. I have a bunch of sourdough starter.
I feel like he now has to make us cookies for the next time.
Yep. I
This makes
have better
sense.
cookies.
I will not accept it unless it is a like focaccia or biscotti sourdough bread.
See,
That
you
makes
say
these
that,
really
but
good
he'll do
biscottis.
it.
I'm not gonna lie.
Ooh.
They're really good. Mm-hmm. But I made these anyway. I didn't mean to take away from the conversation.
Those two are making jokes about me dying in a horrible Donnie Darko death with a car, and I look up and I just see, ooh, like it's like trying to hide it. It's like you're on camera. How are you going to try? Comfort.
He was thinking about a car flying off the highway with wings and a napalm attachment.
That's a very nice
think
couch.
that's more
I'd
of
be
a
scared too. I'd be
More of a
reaching
Final
for cookies.
Destination death.
You don't think you'd see this metal angel of death flying towards your house and you wouldn't grab a cookie? Paris, Texas.
Paris.
So Sorry.
Oh, man.
Guys, anything else you want to talk about Paris, Texas?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. It's one of those where it's so much of it has to do with, if not the look, the feeling of it.
The experience of the
Yep.
film.
And I'll bring up the atmosphere again in his other movies. He's just so good at it. It's like he's in control of everything, because not that other directors aren't. Not that most directors don't do that. But there's just something about when a director just has such a grip on every aspect of production that there's something so engaging. Scorsese does that with all of his movies. Just about, especially the last couple where it's like he has total control and they're 3 hours long, and it's like he can just, there's something about the way he just controls every little thing to perfection. And that's why he's one of the
much
all-time
less
greats.
tempered by cocaine. Much less tempered
Yes.
by cocaine, I'd have to think.
You know, it is interesting you say that, because like I feel like a lot of times nowadays, like I've gone down this like thought process myself about if the auteur theory is even like real anymore, because like a lot of time on sets, like the majority of the time, you're making compromises, you're figuring out with other people, it's a team effort to make movies, and I feel like very rarely do you actually get like Jared, like you said, like that one person like taking the whole movie the whole way. It just doesn't happen that much. And so it is interesting to see when it does happen. It's not always for the best. I mean, look at George Lucas with the prequels. He got
Okay,
for everything,
here
and
it
those
is.
did not turn
Took us
out
over
that-
an hour. Here's the Star Wars stuff. Yup.
We
This
always get to
that's-
it.
Maggie, every
episode,
time
did that,
Star Wars
did
always
that
comes
one
up.
shot of the Rockies remind you of Dagobah?
Just every time we talk about anything, Star Wars comes up every time, and I've been the perpetrator at times too. It just keeps happening.
It's so hard not to. It's so hard.
The Sandmen are analogous for Hunter.
Just wanted to put it out there. It's not always for the best when one man gets their way making a movie.
Or woman.
Or woman, yeah.
There.
Absolutely.
Because we gotta be fair in how our garbage gets old, I guess.
Speaking of Scorsese, there's that picture that's gone around. I've seen a couple times. It's a picture in the desert in a convertible of Scorsese and Isabella Rossellini, like sitting in the backseat talking to each other. That Wenders took, because Wenders is also a very, very active, prolific photographer. So like I was just thinking about that. I just looked it up to make sure. Like, was that Wenders? Yep, Wenders took that picture, and it's like where she's like leaning like this talking, and Marty's just got that little face where he's smiling. It had to be in the 80s. And it's got like the plateau or mountain or whatever behind there in the desert. So it's like I was just thinking about that.
I feel like that makes a lot of sense. He's a photographer, because like he's just got that eye. It makes complete sense.
Definitely.
Yeah, he's just
that, and he's also done a documentary about a photographer, I believe.
Yep, The Salt of the Earth, right?
Ooh.
I have not seen it. I hear it's great. I mean,
I'd watch that. That sounds interesting.
What is the guy's name? I gotta look this up.
It makes so much sense that he would do that too.
Come on,
I believe
not
that he's like Central American, but I cannot remember.
Sebastião Salgado.
Yeah.
Where he just, for 40 years, he'd like travel all the continents and be just taking pictures of things a lot of people don't ever see. Stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's like the type of stuff that, like, you know, it becomes commonplace to us, but is like really amazing. Like Everest, you know, like who's the guy that goes to take a picture of Everest, you know? Not saying that that's specifically what he did, but in terms of scale, pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and that's...
Which, again, fits in with Paris, Texas.
I was just going to say The Salt of the Earth being Wenders' most recent Oscar nomination. He has 3 for that and the other 2 documentaries we've mentioned, Pina and Buena Vista Social Club. Pina was, I think, shortlisted for. It was Germany's submission for the what was foreign film, now it's international film is the name of the thing. Which I've had many discussions with Hammy about how one submission per country is stupid. How like a whole country is represented by one movie on that list. And I think I've told in the past, for the past, it was probably some countries had a much bigger film industry and much more, and could dominate it. But now with how accessible things are, and how much bigger film industries are in other countries, so yeah, hopefully Perfect Days. She got shortlisted for international, so we'll see if it makes it. I hope it won't win. That'll probably be Anatomy of a Fall, but I just hope he gets nominated. Jake, what?
No. So while you were talking, I started to wonder in my head where exactly Paris, Texas is in Texas. So I Googled it. Turns out they have an Eiffel Tower with a cowboy hat on, and it is the funniest thing I have seen in a while.
Why wasn't that in the movie?
Because they don't go there. That's the point. The point is, it's like this idyllic, like reality that you want to, or not reality. It's this fantasy, and it's like this place you want to go to, and that will never happen. It's supposed to be where he will be happy with his family, but he knows it because that's why he bought the plot. But then, like, it's just gonna sit there. It's never. It's that far off dream that never comes true. So
I was gonna ask you though. Is Paris, Texas supposed to be like a dark comedy of sorts? Because I laughed a lot at it in like the first like 30 minutes of it.
You mean where he'll just not say anything, or like he starts the shower for him, Walt does, and then he just leaves? And my first thought is, how long
the
was
interaction between the two brothers? I laughed a lot at.
Yeah.
Oh, especially the it has to be the same car. He gets off the plane, it has to be the same car. He's like, it had a dent in the... And I remember she's like, sir, we can't find the same car. And I out loud said, just look up the license plate. I think he even says the license plate, just look for where it is. Like, it can't be that hard.
Like,
right.
Or just go to the parking spot that they just put it in.
Yeah, or they dropped it off and someone moved it, is what I'm guessing.
Maybe.
I don't know. I've never rented a car.
You ever rented a car?
What would I rent a car for? I don't go anywhere.
Because you need a car.
I have a
He's
car.
only been of age to rent a car for about 4 years now, so...
Is it 25?
Well, you're not 29.
I am 25.
It is 25.
Okay, so yeah.
4 years now.
Yeah, 25.
But usually you rent a car when you like
requirement.
fly somewhere, and you don't want to drive it. But I haven't flown in like 17, 18 years.
Yeah.
What if you rented a car and then flew back?
That is a thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. Don't you need a credit card to rent a car?
Yeah.
I don't have one of those.
Oh, well, there you go.
You don't?
So I guess you're screwed then.
Sam says you don't need a credit
But
card.
anyway, this Eiffel Tower here, with
Yes.
a cowboy hat on.
Yes, that is amazing, and should be made note of.
Yes. That should have been what the cover of the
Criterion.
movie.
Oh, the Criterion? Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I remember someone in this discussion debated with me fiercely in the past about not liking the cover of this and saying the original poster's much better, and then I'd say, yeah, but a lot of times they don't use the original poster because they like commission people to make these. And you're like, yeah, but it's better. You know who you are. I see you looking away from the camera. Not you, Jake. Not you, Dickey.
I want to say it wasn't me.
He remembers. Look at
Is that an opinion I held?
Oh yeah, wait a minute. That's why
Jared,
I
I've
don't.
heard Dickey.
I'm just saying.
Jared,
I'm not
I've heard
holding it against you. Go ahead, Jake. Go ahead. Interrupt me. I give you.
I've heard
permission.
Dickey argue with you about a lot of dumb things. Never
I
that.
know. No, but Maggie, it
I
was,
would have
it was
argued
something.
but I
It was
haven't.
something you said way back, and I don't hold it against because we all say some weird stuff when we're young. It was just funny. We were like fiercely
I still
debating
kind
it.
of agree. I still think that the original poster would have been a better fit.
What's the original
You-
poster? What does that look like?
Oh, it's the black thing, the black one with the pictures of them, and then he's walking down the road in the
Yep.
center.
It looks like an 80s travelogue
Ooh.
thing.
It does.
I
That's
do
fair.
like that. I like the way that sounds
that
on the cover.
Is that a map behind him?
Yeah, it's a map to Paris, Texas.
They should have put as a tagline, "Can you find Travis?"
So, are you telling me that in media ray, we start this in the beginning? We start this movie in the beginning of the world's greatest game of Where's Waldo ever, starring Travis.
But instead of looking
Basically.
for him, we found him right away. Everyone else is looking for him.
Yes.
like-
we are not the reader of the
No.
Where's Waldo novel.
We're with
in
Waldo.
this
We're Waldites.
scenario. We're Waldites.
Oh, just wait
You
until
bet your bottom
Illumination
dollar.
makes the Where's Waldo movie in 2027 or whatever.
God, is that
it's
real?
coming.
No, I'm just saying,
I
like,
wouldn't be
just wait for it.
surprised.
Just wait for it. Watch, it's a real thing already, and we just didn't know. Just that they have
I
no one
know.
has any ideas, seemingly anymore. He's looking at
Yeah, it's kind of strange, isn't it? I gotta know now. I gotta know if there's a Where's Waldo movie.
I watch. There is.
Could you imagine how annoying being in that movie would be? There he is. You know,
There
like
he is.
throughout the entire movie.
What's the? It's like the Letterboxd review for The Invisible Man from 2020, where it's like, saw him. It's like 1 star.
Yeah.
Saw him. Something like that. I think
This
it was the
movie
top review.
sucks.
Or something. I never saw. I just read the review and laughed very, very hard.
False advertising, if you ask me.
Well, is there a Where's Waldo movie in development?
No, it doesn't.
There was
look
a
like
live action Where's Waldo movie produced by Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon Films in 2002. It was announced.
I gotta watch
Said it was announced, so someone tells me
Paramount
it's dead.
changed the project. Okay, so it was canceled in 2004.
So
I would've killed
either
But
it
it was written
development
by
hell
Adam
for a while.
Cooper and Bill College.
Bill College.
I think that's how you say that name, anyways.
I don't know why.
Speaking of
Something about
college.
a guy named Bill College writing your movie is like the funniest thing to me.
Feature
Oh,
film would follow the feature film would follow the adventures of Waldo, who finds himself traveling through time and space after he accidentally activates a faulty time machine. In the tradition of the books, there would be some sort of getting lost and busy crowds elements as well. John Schultz, whoever that is, was attached to direct the film.
Oh,
John Schultz. Sounds familiar.
What a missed shot at making history that was.
They canceled it for favor of Barnyard, The Widow's Broom, and Mighty Mouse.
Barnyard was pretty good.
Yeah,
so
Barnyard is pretty excellent.
Well, do-si-do, and don't you know it's just the way we animals roll. And then you have the one kid going, ha ha!
It just blew my mind. At one point we were just talking, and you were able to rip out a full script of one of the random Barnyard episodes.
I'm trying to think of which one, because there's so many to choose from. I mean, you got the one where they're the Beatles, but they're called the Weevils, and they sing a Barn Day's
Yes.
Night, but we've been chewing on our cud. Like that, I didn't make that up. And then there's the
never
one
say
where
that again.
Weird Al plays himself and like goes to an alien planet and becomes their king. But like off screen, and he just
I
like
don't even
plummets,
remember that
he
one.
plummets back to Earth and said like, what is it? It's like I abused my power and learned nothing, and they all cheer or something. It's something like that.
That kind of rocks.
And they all, it's like this moment of they like take off the mask and it's him, and they all go, Weird Al Yankovic? You're right, it's me. That's right. That might be around the same episode where they like their favorite singer is a guy who sings a song that goes like, "Well, you broke my heart, so I blew up your barn." That's just what I
time to be
remember.
alive.
They sing "Oh Pony Boy,"
2006.
but as "Oh Skunky Boy" as well.
As a Skunky Boy.
Oh,
Very,
Skunky
very
Boy.
good.
But why did we
Oh
talk
my
about
God.
Barnyard? Thanks, Jake.
I don't
Why
know.
do you have to bring up
So,
Barnyard?
Yeah.
So
I think-
as recently as 2011, the Where's Waldo live action movie has been in production. This
Okay.
time by MGM.
They're really hiding him.
All right.
Really, really, really
Wait,
hiding him.
That's
Taking
it.
threes.
That's it. The movie will never come out because the whole point is, where is the movie? We have to find it.
True.
It's already made.
Oh.
Where is it?
True. You make a
Very
good
meta.
point here. Yeah,
But this
we got to
is-
find the movie.
This is all because I
And then
made
the real
a joke.
Waldo is the friends we made along the way.
And the dragon on page 3.
And it's all because I just make a joke about the 80s poster for the movie. Saying, where's Travis? Can you find him?
Yeah, you started this. Don't blame me.
I would love to just see Wim Wenders accept the wackiness of Where's Waldo. That's all.
Yeah, that's his next movie. He should take up the reins of the Where's Waldo live
Oh,
action
let's
movie
go.
and
It
turn
would
it
be
into
it
this
would be
like European
A
experimental
journey
thing.
of
Waldo-
journey of self-reflection and finding the self.
Waldo
Yeah,
never talks.
yeah,
It's
ego-
all voiceover. The negative Waldo
experiences
guys.
ego death in a maze.
There's got to be two Waldos.
Well, yeah, there's the anti-Waldo guy, right?
There's red and white Waldo, and then whatever the opposite color of red is.
Well,
White
was
and
it?
red.
No, there is one.
Yellow.
Isn't there?
It's like the Flash and the net reverse Flash.
Yeah, there's like an where's Waldo characters? I gotta find it. Oddlaw, that's his
not
name.
Waldo.
There's more than one Waldo.
enough more.
Right there he is. It's Oddlaw. Yeah,
What?
yellow and black. Sorry, black and yellow.
It's like
And he's got a
it's like
mustache.
Waldo Tulpa.
Yeah,
Did you say his name was Oddlaw?
it's just Waldo backwards.
Yes.
There are other characters too. There's Wizard Whitebeard.
Oh my gosh.
And Wally. Yeah, like look at this. There's all. Oh,
Yeah, there
that's
are
just-
wacky
Didn't he have a
variants
dog,
of Waldo.
Yeah, woof. And don't forget Wenda.
Linda.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
Wenda.
Wenda.
There.
Yeah.
Linda. Of course. Oh my god. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, come
a
on. You don't
reverse
know
option.
the Where's Waldo lore? We got a whole lot of important characters in Where's Waldo, believe me.
He's been everywhere.
Yeah, it's just.
Oh
We still keep
God.
losing him somehow. He's all these friends and
I
keep
know.
losing him.
Yeah, he's like the human constant, you know, whatever the average of humanity is, that he blends into that. That's his camouflage.
Do we have anything else to say
Anything
about Paris, Texas?
Have we said anything about Paris, Texas in the course of however long this has
It's
been?
been a hot second, yeah. I'm just trying to think
Oh
of
my
anything else to
God.
say.
I like the movie.
It's a good
I
movie.
like the movie. Yeah, it's a good movie, and I like it.
That's it, Mike. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, that's pretty
I-
much it.
I am impressed by the breadth of emotions and themes that are contained in it, and how well that they are balanced.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just
I don't have anything that smart
Yeah.
to say.
It made me feel things,
It made me feel stuff.
which is a rarity.
That
in
never
this-
happens.
And just saying, I didn't cry.
yeah.
But I didn't.
No, I mean
Dickey didn't cry.
I'd rather be mean to you in person. It's much easier. I mean, it's still easy. It's just as much easier, more fun when you're right there to go, what? So, yeah. For a while, it was like between the two Vendors movies, the other ones I've always liked better, and it was like this one slowly crept up like the big list, and then all of a sudden, a couple years ago, I realized I love this enough to be in the top 10. Like, 2 movies by one director in the top 10 makes sense because as the years go by and the more movies I watch by him, it's just this is my favorite director, I think, or at least one of them.
Really? Okay,
I have not touched that.
I was gonna say why you really like one of your favorite directors of like
Yeah, it's just
probably.
I think in like when I make my top 100, there's like 4 or 5 of his movies in there. Until the End of the World is very close to this top 10, I think I put it at like 12 or something last time I went through, and it's like, do I make them all watch a 5-hour movie?
Thank God you didn't.
Yeah.
That would be
I think
fun.
I think you're doing that on
No, it's not that
one
long.
of these.
It's not that long. This one is longer than that by like a half hour.
I mean, I did that. I was
yeah,
longer than that by 3
yeah,
hours.
yours.
Yeah, Jake.
When are we doing the Satan Tango episode?
I mean, we could watch it. Hammy owns it, and he's seen it. And one day I will see it.
How long
What
is
is
that
that?
again?
It's like 7.5, and it's like.
Bro, that's nothing.
But what is
That's
it? It's
child's
It's
play.
like 7 hours, but it's only like 20 shots.
Yeah,
It's like
20
these
shots.
long takes.
I think like under
Sounds
an
like
under an hour's worth of dialogue.
Yep.
Yeah, it's rough.
That sounds horrible.
Hey, blame the Eastern Bloc Europeans for making it. I forget where he hails from.
Through you, Eastern Europeans. I
Bellatar. I forget where he's from.
I could look, but
One of them sequestered in the funny zone of Europe. That's all I know.
the funny zone.
Yeah, they do the funny dances and yeah.
So the western part of Berlin, whatever they called that zone. So then the other half of Berlin was the funny zone. The communist side was the funny zone. Okay.
Yeah.
put that in history books.
Put that in the history books. Yeah, the dividing line in Berlin was funny, not funny,
Yeah.
But that's a discussion for.
Alrighty. I think I've said
Anyway,
everything. I think I've said everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Number
think I've
8.
said everything.
If nothing else to say, listening to today's awesome episode. Jared, where can they find us online if they want to follow us?
So you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and the funny TikTok and X. And also you can listen to us on I gotta remember all of them. I don't have the thing in front of me, even though I should remember by now.
Yeah.
I know it's Google and Apple
Come on,
Podcasts,
buddy.
You have been doing this
Spotify,
for like 2 years.
iHeartRadio, and hey, if it's YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, ring our bell. Make sure you rate us and like us on all those apps. And hey, check out our groovy website.
Nicely done.
Well done.
So yes, thank you for listening to today's episode. Jared's 7th,
8,
right? You said
8.
8th favorite movie of all time. Yep. Next week is 7. And
Yeah,
Jared,
that's how
what are
that's
we
how
watching
numbers
next
work.
week?
Next week we are watching
Dragon Con.
Her. That'll be our episode. We are back in the
Boy.
studio next week.
Ooh.
That's Her, and then in the weeks after that, our good friend Maggie here will join us again for other movies.
Yay.
Woohoo.
So should be a fun time. Thank you for joining us for this fun.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this fun-filled episode changed by weather.
Yes. I don't know if you've noticed, but my skin tone has changed 4 separate times with the snow and the light coming in. So
I was
hopefully
going to
that's
say
fun in
something and
editing.
then I didn't.
Oh yeah, my bloated yellow complexion. Yeah, thank you.
To see it in full HD coming
Yeah,
up
to
next
see it.
week when we're in the studio.
You should have seen what camera I had originally, because Jared knows it moved at about 4 frames a second and was maybe
Nice.
240p if you were lucky. So
Have you ever seen the YouTube
Crystal
video where the
clear.
guy's talking about elephants? The very first YouTube video? That's what that looked like.
Yes. We went to, or what is that video? We went to the zoo or something.
It's something like that
It's
where
the
it's like,
first
hey,
YouTube video.
the quality's not in triple digits yet.
Yeah. You ain't got triple digit quality.
Oh, God. Yes, speak using triple digit quality, all of us together.
Triple digits.
We will see you guys next time.
Triple digits.